in the accounting area, hover over the hand and go down into accounting. And so normally it's going to start off looking like this, just blank. And you're going to click on Insurance AR. This is going to load every claim that you've ever sent ever. When you pull up your Insurance AR report, you're going to have a lot of information here that may not necessarily be pertinent for you to try to figure out, like, okay, what claims are outstanding. The goal in looking at this accounts receivable report is to identify those claims. Most offices are really good at putting in their charges, getting those claims sent out, and then posting the EOBs as they show up. A lot of times there'll be claims that get denied or rejected, and somehow we miss those. And I don't think the insurance companies make it easy for us to identify those, but I'm going to show you how ChiroTouch can help. So when you come in here to the Insurance AR, you're going to see a lot of information: their account number, their name, their case type, their birthday, the service date, service age is, so how old is this claim from the date of service, and on and on and on. So for me, the first thing I like to do is collapse these columns that I don't personally use. We only have one provider in our office, so I don't necessarily need to see this. I know that there's offices that have multiple doctors, so this would be helpful for you. So I'm going to personally go ahead and just collapse that down. Here's the charge for that code. I don't use insurance balance because this is based off what ChiroTouch is trying to estimate what the insurance owes based on the insurance benefits that I put into ChiroTouch. So that may not always be 100% accurate, so I don't go by that. I have the sequence. So 1 is primary. If it was a 2, that would be their secondary insurance. Could have 3 and 4, other tertiary insurance policies. Generally, you're going to see a primary and then maybe a secondary. You have the payer. So I've got some Blue Cross, I've got some Humana, a Medicare, and then what the subscriber ID number is. I don't put plan or plan number into my ChiroTouch. I don't find it useful. This status column is going to be one of the big areas that for me makes a big difference. What I normally do when I come in here is I'll start by putting a B in this column. And what this will do is it will sort it down to every claim that is in billed status that is and I have it sorted right here for anything under 365 days. Okay, so I have the first billed date, the last billed date, the last time it was paid. Again, I don't look at this really closely because I'm just trying to identify, like, what claims am I waiting on? I don't necessarily need this. All that makes the most sense is to go, when did we service it? How old is that? And then I'll go figure out, like, why hasn't it been paid? Or was it paid? Did we get an EOB and maybe the EOB wasn't posted? Kind of giving you some things to check. If they had paid, what did they pay? How old is the billing? So the most recent time that you've billed this claim, how many days has it been since last time you billed it? Not the first time. So, like, here's an example. This claim is 22 days old, but it was actually billed out 14 days ago. So she was probably seen on, service date of June 2nd, and we billed it 8 days later. And so again, that can come in handy because you may have like a really old claim, but you can look at the build date and go, oh, well, we've just recently rebilled that already. And if this number is less than about 60 days, I'm going to let it hang out there because sometimes it just takes that long. So what I'll do is I'll come in here to status, change it to B for build. So that, again, those are claims that we've sent out. We haven't received anything back from. And I personally like to look at anything that is greater than 60 days. So I'm just looking at claims that are over 60 days old. So if I took that out, that's where I got the two. So I have 210 outstanding claims. The charges total, you can see down there at the bottom, is 11,000. So that's how much I have sent out right now. But if it's under 60 days, I'm not going to worry about it. I know insurances take a while sometimes. So here's my short list. I have 25 people that I have claims over 60 days. I try really hard not to let it get over like 60 to 90 days. But as you can see, I've got a few people, like I've got several Humanas just because these are teacher policies in my state that are really fickle and I'm having some trouble with them. So I've had to call and again, work those out. I've got one Medicare patient that I'm going to have to look up and go, hey, you've paid all of her processed all of her other claims. What's going on with this one? And then I have Miss Holmes, which is a Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Mr. Henson, that is a Blue Cross Blue Shield. So these are older. Like this one's from 2019. It's possible that we sent it out and either they rejected it for whatever reason, and I might just have to rebill it. We'll use him as an example here in just a moment. You have follow-up status, date, and then follow-up status, and then note, date, and what the note is. Again, I don't use those. I find it too clunky to keep adding notes. Like this is next follow-up date. If you work your accounts receivable regularly, you won't need those extra added notes and steps to be able to identify what's going on. See, I have 25 that I need to continue to work on right now that are past due in my eyes. And so again, but if I had hundreds and hundreds and it's going to take me a while, I might have to utilize those notes to remind myself of what I did and what I was planning to do later and what date am I going to follow up with it. So you may need to use those. I'm not discounting their helpfulness, but as you get down to where you have a very short list, that will become less and less necessary, and it will just save you more time.
Hey friends, sorry to interrupt. I do hope that you are enjoying this content, but I had to quickly ask, can you hit that subscribe button? And also don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. You can also check out my website, which is confidentchiro.com, where you will learn more about Medicare, ChiroTouch, and more. Now back to the video.
And you can see some last activity dates. It looks like on Mr. Henson down here at the bottom, he was seen on December 30th, which is 177 days ago. We billed it out 170 days ago, and then you can see that last activity date is the 6th. So again, we must have billed it out that day and something rejected it, because I know this particular patient, he has multiple claims that have already come back in process. So it's kind of odd that he has one hanging out there. But again, that happens. If I didn't look at this report and if I just scroll through his ledger real quick, it would look like everything was fine and I would miss this claim. Again, for me in Alabama, I have 365 days for my payers. And if it gets past that, then I'm out of luck. I have to write that off and eat it because I have surpassed that timely filing date that they require. So again, I don't necessarily use this a lot, but I like to look at it. Now the whole screen, you can see, okay, now we're down to like some manageable information. It's a little more digestible when you're not seeing a bunch of stuff that not as necessary. So let's look at Mr. Henson together and we'll just kind of see what maybe needs to happen. So when you get to your list and you're looking at it and you go, okay, well, I have the information. So now what do I do with it? This is what I would personally do. So Mr. Henson, again, his date of service was 12/30/19. I'm going to come over to my front desk, look at my patient, go to insurance. So here's his policy. Obviously, this policy is the one that was effective when we saw him in December. So you can kind of check and make sure there's wasn't like a policy change issue. And then I can click on claim history. This is going to show me the charges the waiting to be billed, which he has none. And then what has been billed but not been paid. So here's that one that he was seen on the 30th, says we billed it on the 6th. We've never gotten it back. I could go through the process of going to Blue Cross Blue Shield's website, logging in, putting in all of his information and searching out the claim. That's probably going to take me 3 to 5 minutes just for this one claim. And for me, that's just not worth my time. I'm going to probably just clear it out. And it just asks me, do you wish to reset the selected charges to be billed again? Yes. So what that does is it takes it from B status and puts it back in the W waiting to be billed status. And so the next time I batch out claims, his will go out. So I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to pop over here to his ledger and show you. See, there it was. It was actually his first adjustment visit. So it's possible that we didn't put his insurance in to our system until after the 30th. Maybe that was part of the issue. I don't know. I'm just being honest with you. I don't know. And he also had, like you can see on my January 6th date, it says benefit maximum for this time period has been reached. So more than likely the 30th probably wouldn't pay either. Nonetheless, I'm going to just rebill it. Because see, look, they paid the extra spinal. Ooh, that makes it really interesting. They paid the extra spinal, but they didn't the adjustment. So again, just something strange. What will happen? Let's say they did pay it and I missed it when I put my EOB in, because we make mistakes and that it happens. The next time the EOB gets sent to me for this particular billing, it's going to say, hey, this is a previously paid claim. Now I feel that it's worth it to go spend that 3 to 5 minutes on Blue Cross Blue Shield's website to go, when did it get paid? Which remittance is that? And then go pull that remittance and update it and correct it. If it wasn't paid originally, then of course they'll process it and they'll give me that determination and they'll pay it or reject it or deny it and let me know why. Like maybe he has benefits that have been maxed or something. But again, I'm going to let that EOB kind of do some of that heavy lifting for me, especially if you have a really, really long list to go through. You're not going to have time to sit and research all of them. Medicare would be the only thing that I'd say might be a little different. If a claim has been billed to Medicare within the last 30 days or so, there are some administrations out there that will not allow you to rebill that particular claim until 30 days has passed. So you just need to know what your Medicare requires of you. And sometimes I've even noticed, for me, our administrator, there's only certain denial codes that make you wait 30 days. So it's not every denied claim or every rejected claim. Again, you kind of have to just know your administrator and what they require and what their rules are. So what I'm going to do is, since I actually put him back in waiting status, he's not in billed status anymore, to refresh this, I just close it and reopen it. So you can see I had 25 claims and now I only have 24. So if I switch this to the W status, like we talked about earlier, there he is. Now he's in waiting. He's waiting to be billed, not in billed anymore. So let's change this back. That's the only one I'm going to pull up just because like Miss Holmes, I actually know what's going on with her. I looked that one up earlier. And then I told you with the Humanas, I've already called and I'm actually having to appeal one because they denied it because her hematocrit levels were not correct. And so it was just a really bizarre denial reason code. And when I called them, I said, hey, look, we didn't do blood work on this patient, but I'm waiting on them to reconsider it, get that other determination. Then I will be at that step in the process where I can do an official appeal if they still figure that out. Let me know again if you have questions. My goal again was just to expose you to this report, give you the lay of the land, show you how I look at it, what perspective am I trying to, gain from seeing all this information, and then what to do with it. Again, this is just going to help you narrow down that focus as to how to utilize your time. And again, if you have a really long list, you may even want to sort it by payer. Hey, I'm just going to deal with my Medicares today, or I'm just going to deal with my Blue Cross Blue Shields today. Because if you are having to go to their website or go use Availity or something and you're looking at claim statuses, I wouldn't want to be hopping around from one to the next because you're going to log in and out, and Blue Cross times out pretty quickly. My Medicare login times out pretty quickly. And so I don't want to have to hop around and waste time re-logging into things. So again, just from a time management standpoint, it might make sense for you to search by payer. So again, you can sort this data any way you'd like. I had an office one time that I helped with some billing, and one of their issues was all of their therapies, their 97014s in their state, they had to have a particular modifier for that insurance company. So we were able to just search the whole list by that code and go back and figure out who do we need to correct, what claims were wrong. And you can get really creative and think about what you're trying to accomplish. I would maybe even at some point, I would come in here and I would say, okay, what's over 365 days? I don't have any that are outstanding. Everything for me would be considered processed if it's over 365 days. But if you have some really old ones, you can at least know who you need to clear out or write off, and you can clean up the accounts receivables. Alrighty, that was what I have for insurance AR report in ChiroTouch.